YouTube Balzico in the Goat House is back, rating every single NFL team on their Week 4 performance. A video we can bring back every week if it seems to be popular. Our winners and losers video, more in depth, already up on the channel. And in the bottom left, we see our weekly content listed there. Always adding more as well. Hopefully you can join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter for a lot of live updates and more. Check out our sponsors, bottom right, Liquid IV GLD Shop. Got the Rams chain on from the GLD Shop. We have a giveaway going on with them. Links pinned in the comments for anything you're looking for. First team, Lions. I'm giving them an A, very close to being an A+. The way they started, it felt like A+, but they do look like the clear favorites in the NFC North. A dominant win in Lambeau on Thursday night definitely gets them an A. Didn't love that they allowed a comeback a little bit. Maybe the play calling kind of allowed that, but overall, big positive for the Lions after a dominant win, and they get an A. The Packers are going to go with a D+, close to being a C- because they did come back, and some of the young talented players are showing that they're pretty talented and they have upside, but hated the way they started this game. They're very stale, predictable. Teams are going to start game planning for them. It showed in this game, and it doesn't look like they're any match for the Lions. We kind of felt like they can compete for the NFC North, but not so much anymore after that game, so the Packers get a D+ in Week 4. The Jags are going to get a B+ for their win in London over the Falcons. It did feel like a little bit more like the Jags that we expected this year. Defense made plays. Trevor Lawrence made plays when he needed to. Thought they were capable of more, so maybe that's why they're not in the A range. Maybe the run game could have been a little better. I thought they could have put up more points, failed that fourth down in the red zone. So that's kind of a positive. They're capable of more, we think, but give them a B+. Overall, it was good to see them look more like the Jags from the end of last year, like we kind of expected there. So a good win in London for Jacksonville. Falcons lose 2 straight in Week 4. They're going to get a D+. Couldn't get much going, especially in the passing game. Ritter was awful. Defense wasn't super bad, but they couldn't get the job done either. And then the only bright spot was the run game, again, with Bijan Robinson. Use more of him. You'll have more production. The run game is still there, so that's kind of what's keeping it from being worse than a D+ for the Falcons, but they're heading in the wrong direction right now. The Tennessee Titans get the first A+ of the video. A+ in Week 4, a dominant performance. I mean, this is maybe the best the Titans can play. It was very impressive against what we still think is got to be a solid Bengals team. I know they're not as what they were expected, but the Titans look dominant at times in this game. Defense swarming to the ball, making plays, getting after the quarterback. The run game looks dangerous, not just because of the vintage Derrick Henry showing up, but Tyjae Spears brings a different element to their game. Tannehill and company took care of the football as well. An impressive performance at home for the Tennessee Titans. The Bengals are going to get the first F of the video, just a very poor performance. The first drive looked pretty good. Then I don't know what happened after that. Joe Burrow isn't right. He's limited, which limits the entire offense. It limits Zach Taylor. His playbook kind of shrinks because of it. So they are very limited. And then usually you can rely on their defense, specifically their run defense, but you could not do that in this game either. It's kind of been a concern throughout this year, just the Bengals in general. So an F performance against a Titans team you almost expect them to beat. Eagles are going to get a B-. They do win, and what's kind of holding them up here is the offense being clutch and, executing in crucial moments and coming back. But what I don't love is the defense, being outplayed for a portion at home against Washington, giving up those big plays, especially at the end of the game to force overtime. It feels like, especially in the secondary, they are missing Jonathan Gannon, his coverages, different concepts. So there are some things to kind of be a little concerned about, kind of looking from last year to this year, but the offense keeps it in a good grade range because they show up when it matters most. The Commanders get a C, so not the worst grade, probably one of the better grades for a team that lost. Offense performance was pretty impressive. Offensive line still struggling. I think the downside is this an offensive team when it's not supposed to be? The defense should not be this bad. It should not struggle this much. A game going into it, you don't expect to win, but based on how it went, they should win. So overall, it's a negative day, but there are some positives you take away. Commanders get a C in Week 4. The Buccaneers get an A on their dominant win against the Saints. Overall, a great performance, especially on defense. Offense can do a little bit more to put the game away, even though they eventually did. But I thought Baker did a good job finding ways to kind of create plays and win this game. It was a massive win against a division rival. Saints get a D-. This is very, very close to being an F, but I guess you give them an exception. The defense is still decent, and then Carr was playing injured, but the lack of offense, not only in this game, but leading up to this game as well, and how Derek Carr is playing, is very concerning. They just cannot get enough offense going. Well, it should not be the case given that who they have on the field. It's a game they probably should win, and they just get obliterated really, by the Buccaneers in what I feel like was a must-win game. So Saints, again, borderline F. Would give them a little bit of slack, but not much because overall they did not play well at all. The Rams are going to get a B for their win over the Colts in Week 4. This was looking like an A or an A+, and they kind of blow a lead. I mean, the best part about this is they're very explosive. They're a dangerous team. They can win in multiple ways. They didn't punt till the fourth quarter, so that's looking like an A+. But for that, everything to be going right, to have the 23-point lead, like how does it take overtime to get this victory? So that is a big downside. But overall, the Rams are still dangerous. They're very explosive. Started very well, so I gave them a B, but they can't let it be that close next time. Colts are going to get a C, even though they lost to the Rams. This is one of the better grades out of the losers, but they started so poor. That's why it's tough. The second half of this game, they look like even though they lost, it looked like a B+, even an A- for a losing team. But the first half, they look like an F. They look like maybe the worst team in football in multiple ways. So they got to be more consistent. But I liked how they look in the second half. You see upside with this team. They could be a little better than we expected. And they had an opportunity to win, but couldn't pull it off. But I'm going to give them a C despite the ugly start. Another A+ given out. The Houston Texans dominate the Steelers, missing pretty much all their offensive line. They're supposed to be outmatched because the Steelers' defensive line, their pass rush, but they hold it down. C.J. Stroud has a great game. The running backs have a great game. Nico Collins. The defense was absolutely stout, making plays, being locked down, getting after the quarterback. I mean, at the stage of where they're at, who they're missing, how young they are, how the coaches are, they're not supposed to be able to play this good, and they're playing great right now. So an easy A+ for the Houston Texans. Unfortunately, we got to give out another F here. The Pittsburgh Steelers get one for the disappointing performance. Going into this game, a game they should win. They're supposed to be better than the Texans. Apparently they're not. Their pass rush is a problem. Texans missing most of their offensive line. They don't get the job done. Kenny Pickett struggles. The play calling's play designs aren't that bad, but you're limited with the quarterback play. Nothing was good about the Steelers in this game against the Texans. And the Texans are better than expected, but they're not playing the Chiefs, the Bills, whatever. So an F for the Steelers in Week 4. We give a B+ to the Ravens overall. A great performance. They put away the Browns somewhat early in this game too. They got the pass rush going. Mark Andrews was fantastic. Lamar was solid. It's kind of what you expect though. I know the Browns last second had to start a rookie, so we're not going to get a little too carried away. But overall, the Ravens had a pretty good. They did the job. They got their job done. I give them a good grade and a B+. The Browns are going to get a D. I mean, this would be an F, if they play like this and they had Deshaun Watson in there, but we'll give them a little bit of leeway here, with that exception that they threw in a rookie quarterback right away, but they played poorly overall. Tough challenge for the defense kind of being on the field constantly, but could have played a little bit better. And then offense, they just had nothing going. I mean, the pass rush of the Ravens even got after DTR. A lot of that was on him. So obviously a poor performance was almost expected. Maybe not this bad. Maybe we didn't expect this bad, though. Broncos win. They had a beautiful comeback, but they're still going to get a C because, the start of this game, again, the offense got a little bit going, so there's the positive. That's kind of what's keeping it from being less. It was against the Bears. The defense, though, my big takeaway is the defense actually looks like the worst in football. It looks that bad against the Bears offense, too. So they got to be in the C range. They did win the game. Offense looked pretty decent in the comeback. So that's what's kind of keeping them from being lower. Again, overall, they got to win, but I'm giving the Broncos a C for their Week 4 performance. The Bears are going to get a C-. They had this game, won really. And this overall was the Bears definitely their best performance of the year. It should be, though, playing the Broncos. They got offense going, but offense also, in a way, kind of took the game away from them. The defense couldn't get a stop either. But, man, you cannot let that comeback happen. If you can't win that one when everything's going right, I don't know what games you're going to win. So it feels like a really, really bad loss, but at the same time, it was their best game of the year. The offense kind of got a little bit going. So you can't give them too terrible of a grade, despite the blown lead, the blown comeback there. C- for the Bears. The Vikings going to win. Still not super impressed. They're going to C+. The pass rush, mainly the blitz, showed up. They made big time plays when they needed to. And again, they got the win, but again, still the same problem occurs. It still exists. They have the sloppiness on offense, the turnovers. They didn't really get a whole lot of offense going. I guess the run game got going a little bit. It's a game they really should win. The fact that they I don't want to say barely, but almost close to barely win this one is a little tough. So still not super impressed, but there was little things that did impress me, and they did come away with a win, a C+ for the Vikings. Panthers get a D. I mean, the only reason this is not an F because they were kind of in this game still, and they did make plays like turning the ball, like taking the ball away from an explosive Vikings offense. But what they showed in this game is they're all around bad. There's nothing good going for them. The Vikings were able to run the ball for the first time ever, this year. They still can't do anything offensively. Bryce Young's still struggling. The offensive line's still struggling. They just don't have enough in there. They just feel like kind of an all-around bad team with a couple good players here and there. So a D for the Panthers. The Buffalo Bills get an A and very close to being an A+. That's a huge win against a red-hot Dolphins team. They scored 48, but it's going to be a little tough for me to give out the A+. I think it's actually a positive. I think the Bills are capable of more. So that's maybe what's holding them back with A+. They actually, not really more points, but the run game they could do a little bit more damage there, and the defense could play much better than they did in the first half. But I did like the second half adjustments. I did like that the offense was explosive. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, these guys were fantastic. They put up 48 points. So it's A+ range. I think they're capable of a more firm A+. So in a way, it's kind of a positive. That is a massive win, big win for the Buffalo Bills this week and for them heading forward. The Dolphins are going to get a D+. It just did not look like the Dolphins from the first 3 weeks. It kind of looked like the Dolphins from the past, where they're kind of explosive on offense. They could be a little dangerous there, but overall, just not enough. Tua, didn't play awful, but he kind of went back to playing his ways. The offensive line kind of went back to playing his ways. The Bills were able to adjust and eliminate things. There was no adjustments from the Dolphins. Seems like there's more of a game plan for the Dolphins. And the defense was terrible. I mean, I was close to putting this as a D because all that bad, but they were explosive on offense early on. They did play a good team in the Bills in Buffalo, but still no excuses. I'm still going to give them a D+. It's very close to being that D, but it is just one game. But that's what we're basing these grades off of. The Niners are going to get an A. Somewhat close to being an A+, a dominant performance. I think they can play. I think they can play more like an A+, because that's what the Niners are capable of. Because the Cardinals were somewhat efficient, at times through the air on the ground. The Niners could be a little better on defense if we had the nitpick, looking for an A+. But they were fantastic. The offense is so explosive. Purdy's getting better. Ayuk's getting better. They still continue to look like the best team in football. I give them an A for their Week 4 win against the Cardinals. Cardinals are going to get a C. There's still some decent, somewhat good things from the Cardinals. They still can move the ball. They can still make big plays, sometimes through the air, sometimes on the ground. Of course, they can be a little bit better. Defensively is where they're bad. Their defensive performance is, D- range. But, they played the best team in football. They're still able to move the ball. They're still better than expected. So it's not a terrible, terrible, terrible loss in Week 4. So I'll give them a C. Chargers, I'm going to give a B-. There's a lot of positive, how clutch they can be, how well they get after the quarterback. They can be explosive. Again, make plays in big moments, both sides of the ball. I love that. That kind of says, B+, because again, factor in they're playing the Raiders. They have a rookie quarterback, but how things go their way and how they make big plays and they're clutch, but they barely escape the game against a rookie quarterback. That's a little concerning at the same time. So there's kind of a really good, but a really bad. At the end of the day, they won. They made big-time plays. So it's hard to put them down any further than this. But I give them a B- for their Week 4 victory against the Raiders. Raiders, I'm going to give a C- to. Overall, it was kind of a bad performance when you got a rookie quarterback fumbling the ball, getting sacked, they're allowing pressure like crazy. They lose the game. So overall, it's bad, and it sounds like a worse grade. But the fact that all those things were happening and they were still in the game and they're able to get Josh Jacobs going somewhat in the ground but through the air, that was pretty cool to see. But the fact that they're able to stay in the game, show some fight, I don't think I could have put them any lower than a C-. But overall, it's still not a great day. But it's pretty crazy that they were still in that game. Cowboys are getting an A. This is very close to being an A+. I don't want to just hand out the A+. I think the Cowboys can do, believe it or not, can do it. You play more like an A+ team, but it's pretty much there. They got the takeaways. They kind of took what was given to them a little bit and executed in things that were going their way, but they're creating those plays. They dominate the Patriots. There was actually some people that doubted them in that game too. So they're borderline an A+. I think they're just such a good team where they can play more like an A+. And I don't want to hand out the A+ in these videos. So I give them an A, but that's borderline. Very good performance of the Cowboys. Very much impressed. Good bounce back game for them. Patriots get an F. They just look all around bad, dude. The game was supposed to be much closer than that. They get dominated. Mac Jones was awful. There's just nothing going. The receivers aren't good. The offensive line's not good. The running game, there was nothing there. Defensively, they're dropping like flies and they're giving up points. Obviously, the offense didn't help them in that category, though. But just all around bad. I didn't expect them to have like a really good team this year. Like I thought they could win like 7-8 games, but I thought they would be I thought they'd be better than this though. They look like their record, which is not good right now. So giving the Patriots an F. Chiefs won, but they're going to get a C+. I mean, they started off hot. They're still able to make the clutch plays when they need it most. It's kind of the Chiefs' way. What we know about them is what they know how to do is clutch up and make big-time plays when it matters most, and they still did that. Pacheco with his legs, Mahomes with his legs, that was very impressive, but could have lost this one. They looked a little sloppy. The defense, maybe their worst performance of the year, just giving up things to Zach Wilson, the Jets. So overall, wasn't that impressive, but they do clutch up and find a way to win. They did start off hot. I'm going to give them a C+. The Jets are also going to get a C+. They're probably the best team that lost this week. They play one of the best in the Chiefs. They put up a good fight. They had an opportunity to win. They started off poorly, even on defense. I don't know what that was. I don't love the start, and I don't like the field goal attempts, the playing for the field goal. You got to know who you're playing. You got to go for touchdowns. So those things I actually hate because they could have won this game, but defense played lights out in the second half, maybe minus that 7-minute last drive, but Zach Wilson played his best game yet. They had the run going, the pass open. I thought the play calling or the play designs overall, like kind of knowing what will work and what won't, I thought that was pretty good as well. So there are some positives. Can that continue? Can they grow off that, though? Just tough that they lost when they had an opportunity to win, so it's tough to give them any higher in this. But, again, there were some positives. And that's going to do it for this one. Grades for every single team, minus the Monday team. As soon as the Monday night games end, we had it right into our next week's worth of content. So join us for that. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. Let me know your thoughts on this video. We can bring it back if it seems to be a popular one. We got loads of content, though. Make sure to check it out. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.